Chai Tea Sunday follows a young woman who has fertility issues and travels to Africa in search of new purpose. It's based on the real-life experiences of author Heather A. Clark and her cousin, and Heather is here to talk about it now. Good morning.
Good morning, Liza.
I have read the book, and it really just draws you in for so many different reasons. We started off mentioning that the book starts with a woman and her husband looking into what seems to be their perfect life.
Yes.
Which turns out it really isn't. And that you drew from your own life for that.
I did. Certainly several aspects of the book are influenced on my own life. In the book, the main character, Nikki, and her husband go through fertility issues. And although from a technical perspective, it's very different from what I went through with my husband, Brian. We now have 3 beautiful babies, by the way. Certainly I drew on the emotional side of it, but I think what's really at the heart of this book is when the main character, Nikki, goes to Africa. And it's about her journey there, and it's about all that she experiences, all the people she meets along the way, how she helps them, more importantly, how they help her.
Everything sort of falls apart in her life.
That's right.
She makes this journey, which is also a really different kind of cool form of writing because you've never been to Africa.
Correct.
Your cousin was in Africa.
Yes.
So you were literally on the phone.
Email.
Yes. Asking questions to make this work.
That's right. What happened was she has been a few times. She came back the first time and I was completely captured by her stories. I couldn't get enough of them, and it wasn't the devastation that exists there, the despair, the poverty, which certainly far too much exists, but it was what pins all of those things together, which for me was hope. And so I approached her and I said, I really want to write this story about Kenya. Will you help me? And she said, absolutely. So we poured over her journals and her videos and her photos, and together I learned a lot about Kenya. But I really, really struck a research gold when she went back the second time and she was there, and I would ask her questions, things like, what does the dirt feel like outside of your host family's home? And she would give me that answer, and she would tell it to me, and I would write it into the book. And so what happens actually while the main character is in Kenya happened to Rachel while she was there. And so she was living this story in real time. I was writing it while I was here.
That must have been quite an experience to do that. How did you do that then, to take her story and sort of mesh it with what you're feeling in terms of the subject matter?
Well, at the highest of level, I knew that I wanted to have a main character who goes through a bit of a tragedy, because I wanted to take her and push her from this world into that one. And I wanted to juxtapose the two. And because I had gone through these fertility issues, and I think the only way I can really describe it is that I felt the need, I had to write about it. Sadly, so many people go through fertility. I don't know of anyone who hasn't either directly gone through it or know of someone who has. And so I took that aspect of it and then pushed the main character into Kenya to kind of juxtapose the two worlds and really bring Rachel's story through.
It's so interesting you mentioned that, because I remember reading Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love.
Yes.
She said that, writing that book was really herself digging herself out of a hole of depression and divorce, and it helped her so much. Was this the same for you, where you had to write this in order to be able to come out of your experiences a little bit more healed, maybe?
In a different way. I think by the time, so a funny aspect of this is that I actually wrote this book while I was on maternity leave with my second child. So I was in a very different place than I had been. My husband, Brian, and I had been blessed at that point with 2 beautiful children. We now have 3. Our youngest is 3 months old. And so I think I wasn't in that same level of despair that you've described. But I think because I do believe it's so important, and I certainly remember what it's like to go through it, and I know what it's like to go through it, I felt that need to write about it and to tell the story so that other people who might be going through the same thing know that there is hope. And I think it's hope that connects all of the pieces together, whether it's the fertility issues, whether it's what Nikki goes through while she's in Kenya, what all of the things that all the people that she meets, it connects all of that together. So I think that's what brought it.
I'm just amazed that you wrote a book on maternity leave. like in the middle of night feedings, just scribbling some stuff down?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. No, I think I really needed a me project. I needed a creative outlet of some sort, and I have been blessed with really great children who slept somewhat early on, and I'm
does your youngest sleep now?
Well, last night she did not sleep. She was
Okay.
up all through the night, of course. Yes.
So your next book is delayed now because
Correct.
of this?
Probably. Yes. But yeah, so my husband and I would tuck our kids into bed and then I would write. I also happen to be a bit of a nighthawk, so I think I would just start writing. And really it just kind of seemed to come pouring out of me. It was, you know, a page turned into a chapter, which turned into the manuscript. So.
Man, I couldn't even file my nails when I first had
We
kids.
didn't have time to take a shower.
Yeah.
I know. The book is just being released, but have you heard back from some women yet?
Yes, I have, and in different aspects. Thank you so much,
Can you
Liza.
say other than me and Joanna, who gave
Yes.
some little blurbs on the back?
Yes,
Yeah.
which I really appreciate. Thank you so much. I've received some really great feedback. The best of which is typically from people who have been to Kenya, because I have not, who say that this just describes it perfectly. I remember when my now editor read the manuscript for the first time, she asked me when I had gone to Kenya. And when I told her I had never been to Africa, she said, I don't understand because I feel like I could smell the air when I was reading this book. And I think the best way to describe that is probably because similar to a blind person who can't see, but their other senses are heightened. I couldn't travel to Kenya, but I could see it through my cousin's eyes. And to hear that feedback from people is what is really great.
We have to wrap it up, but you have mentioned before that you will actually attend book club meetings?
Yes, I would love to.
How do people reach you?
If people would like me to join their book club meeting, they can go to my site, heatheraclark.com, and information is there, and I would love to join in the conversation of those
That
book
is so
clubs.
great to have the
Yeah.
author there. We'll put that on our website as well.
Thank you so much.
The book is called Chai Tea Sunday. Heather A. Clark, congratulations.
Thanks so
It's a
much,
really
Liza.
lovely
Thanks
book.
for having me.
Pleasure. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in just a minute.